The housing market crash ending in 2022, going into 2023 could literally wipe out fixed income, SNAP EBT, P-EBT recipients, Social Security recipients, as well as those on SSI and SSDI, possibly even Section 8 renters. The middle class is at risk. Low-income Americans are almost guaranteed to be decimated. In fact, rents are rising and the housing market crash is threatening to wipe us out. Here, watch this.
Right now we share the one-room apartment. So the kids sleep in one room and we are share the living room for sleep. If we look in another apartment and 2 rooms or 3 rooms, it's so expensive. I am a member of the Make the Road New York, so they help me to fill the form of the program. We need the protection for the community, for the landlords or the commercial prices not increase like, I don't know, 150%. I work hard all the time, so I try to make myself opportunities. The opportunities coming again, so I try to figure out and work hard again, 7 days per week, 14 hours per day, and finally take the American dream and for my kids.
Do you ever get the feeling that these real estate investors and billionaire house flippers are just trying to edge out the average American so that they can be the only ones available and able to enjoy financial freedom and all of the cash flow and passive income opportunities that come along with it? Yeah, I definitely get it. Already, big real estate companies are shedding jobs. We're talking about Remax, Redfin, Wells Fargo, Homeward. These places may not really care much about their people as they're letting go of as much as 25% of their staff. 25%. So yeah, whatever happened to caring about your people? So today, we're not going to make it easy for them. We'll use their own tools against them and look at the housing market predictions for the next 5 years, including how we need to prepare as a family, as renters, as homeowners, and even as entrepreneurs and investors. Plus, for our extra special stimulus finale, President Biden's plan to send stimulus checks for housing. Sit tight for that one, you guys. Also, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. The link is in the description down below. And if you need up to $5,000 in cash, be sure to check out the link down in the description. So not long ago, experts were talking about the pandemic's real estate boom like it was just the best way to make money and earn some residual income. But now, with slowing housing sales and higher interest rates, the housing market, or more specifically, the major companies, are basically turning their backs on their people. Thousands of workers who found jobs in the booming housing market of the pandemic are now facing widespread layoffs with steeper cuts expected ahead. Now, some of the biggest players that we're talking about here, we're talking about Remax, we're talking about Redfin, Wells Fargo. They have announced layoffs in recent months, totaling thousands of jobs, you guys. Now, just recently, power buyer Homeward cut 25% of its staff in a second round of layoffs, even after they cut 20% of its staff in August. The cuts, they come as the broader real estate industry grapples with soaring mortgage rates and slowing sales. Overall, industry analysts are projecting the cuts would eventually be on the same level as we saw in the housing crash of 2008, when many Americans, millions of Americans, lost their homes, they lost their jobs, and many had to file for bankruptcy. Credit scores were wiped out. FICO scores went from 850 points from your TransUnion, Experian, and even Equifax credit reports. They went down as far as 350 points. Some are saying that this could be the worst housing market crash in recent history, mainly because of the Fed jamming their foot on that interest rate pedal. As a result, home mortgage interest rates have doubled this year, and home buyers have been quite literally priced out of the housing market. And get ready, you guys. Low income, middle class, even Section 8 renters. This expert says it's going to be tough. Layoffs are a common occurrence right about now, and it's scary because you just don't know when it's going to stop. Now, during the pandemic, 200,000 people became real estate agents, and the number of people employed as loan originators or loan processors grew 31%. Some companies offered 5-figure bonuses. Here's $10,000 or more for new hires and thousands of dollars a month in bonus pay. Now, those very same companies are cutting off their employees like a diseased limb. How's that for some gangrene? Either that or just go under altogether. More than 36 companies in the mortgage sector have already been shut down. They've been acquired or announced job cuts in the past 6 months, completely eliminating thousands of jobs. And this isn't going to stop the housing market either. Industry analysts warn the trends in the housing market could have a wider ripple effect as fewer people are buying homes means cuts to spending in other areas, such as appliances, furniture, and even home renovations. Now, as they said here, we had a frenzy and it's come to a screeching halt. But what about you guys? Are you feeling the pressure in your job right now? How's the housing market where you're at? Are you still watching HGTV every single night? Tell us a little bit about your situation in the comments down below. Now, let's use some of these real estate investors' tips and tricks, and let's see if we can kind of bag ourselves a housing market stimulus check for ourselves. How's that? Okay, so first we need to take a look at these housing market predictions for the next 5 years. Now, of course, there's always a chance that something totally unexpected happens, kind of like a black swan event, a global pandemic, or a war, but still, we got to work with what we got, right? Now, it might not be perfect, but it's the best of what we have. And this is definitely true for the housing market. For those of us, buying a home is the single largest purchase that we're ever going to make. So it makes sense to really get it right, meaning years of saving and planning. So looking far into the future as possible is a very good idea. Sure, it might work differently than you had expected, but having a plan in place at least makes sure that you're taking the right steps or you're at least in the right direction regarding how much President Biden and Congress are screwing up the economy. So what is this property market looking like it's probably going to do over the next few years? All right, well, starting off with this first year prediction, generally the property market is expected to soften over the next year. No surprise here. Basically meaning that prices are going to be a little bit mellow, especially with a large increase in the average mortgage after 4 subsequent 75 basis point rate hikes coming from the Federal Reserve. Now, of course, they're trying to tackle sky-high inflation, but according to data from Freddie Mac, the average interest rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage is currently 7.08%. Just 1 year ago, that same average was under 3%. Now, this is a massive price difference, and it's going to have a significantly major impact on first-time home buyers or would-be movers. So, for example, a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at $300,000 at a rate of 2.98% would result in a monthly repayment of $1,262 a month. Now, that same mortgage at the current interest rate of 7.08% would mean an increase of $750 a month for the next 30 years. This would also bring the monthly mortgage payment to $2,012. That is an extra $750 per month at a time when budgets are already stretched and pay raises, they're hard to come by right now. Now, with all of that as a backdrop, it's not much of a surprise that Goldman Sachs, they're projecting property prices to fall 5 to 10% over the next 12 months right here in the United States. Now, for the next 3 years, that same research from Goldman Sachs is expecting the property market to bottom out in late 2023, but it's not going to be a rapid turnaround. More like prices are going to start to kind of level off and stay about flat until mid-2024 is what they're saying. Now, this aligns with Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech after the most recent interest rate hike. So Fed Chair Jerome Powell suggested that the interest rate hike cycle is likely to last longer than had originally been anticipated, peaking just under 5% at the end of 2023. Now, companies are pretty much seeing the exact same thing. Amazon, Facebook, Meta, Twitter, and a lot of other big names in the tech sector, they have announced massive layoffs so that they can go into the next 3 years lean and hopefully ready for some growth. We'll definitely see. We can expect the housing market to follow a very similar trend. While rates continue to risk there being a pressure on the housing prices as mortgages become more expensive over time. And as this goes on, it appears that we're going to come close to the end of the tightening cycle. Home buyers will likely hold off on their purchases, and this will slow down the market a little bit further. Now, a lot of people are probably going going to wait for mortgages to go down over the next 6 to 12 months. We'll see. Now, going into 2024 and 2025, Research House Capital Economics is predicting a gradual rebound of housing prices, but it's probably not going to be the hockey stick growth that we saw in the pandemic years. But housing prices are likely to creep back upward again toward the end of the period, while people regaining their financial footing and hopefully have some passive income to boot. And hey, it gives plenty of time for Congress to step in with another stimulus check, right? And then finally, the housing market prediction for the next 5 years, okay? So now, mind you, this is the most difficult to make sense. 5 years is far enough away that, a million different unexpected events could certainly happen, and it could ultimately derail our expectations about what's going to happen with the economy, the housing market, and what it's likely to do. But hey, this doesn't stop the experts from trying to give it a shot, right? And overall, their long-term outlook is positive. The National Association of Realtors believes we're likely to see total price growth across the country between 15% and 25% over the next 5 years. The way that it's going to go down, though, is probably how we talked about earlier. A drop over the next coming year, a leveling going into 2024, and then a subsequent period of relatively strong growth. Now, according to Bankrate, the U.S. property market is likely to provide an additional average annual return of low to mid single digits over the next 5 years. Long term, we know that property generally provides consistent long-term returns above the rate of inflation. Now, it's never a straight line, but the longer the time frame, the more sure that we can be that the general direction of travel. And with real estate, this has historically been going upward. And this is why I love investing in real estate. So even with the price drops, we have to keep in mind that the falls that are expected over the next 1 to 2 years, they're coming off some pretty high peaks in the market. Goldman Sachs projections show the bottom of the housing market in March of 2024, but that'll probably just put us on the same level of around December 2021. So overall, they're saying that the growth over the next 5 to 10 year period is likely to still be very good. We just have to keep an eye on those mortgages and, of course, more stimulus checks on the horizon. Now, here's what the experts have been saying to do as a potential home buyer. We're likely to see that housing market slow down just a little bit, but mortgages are going to get more expensive at the same time. So this leaves potential home buyers kind of stuck. Those who have been saving for their down payment might realize that the mortgage payments just got too expensive. And it might mean that timelines need to get stretched out and that down payment figures need to go up. I mean, really, there's two ways to improve the situation: save more money or get better investment returns on it. Now, obviously, it goes without saying that if you're considering investing the funds for your down payment, you need to have a long enough time frame for that to make sense. Now, if you're planning on buying a home or investing in real estate in the next 12 months, cash is normally king. Now, if you got 3 to 5 years or more, investing might be worth looking into. You can also check out President Biden's plan to boost the housing supply as sort of a stimulus check for the housing market. But here, watch this. So yeah, some stimulus check highlights here: boosting housing availability, reduce housing costs, ensure affordability, rental assistance, and down payment assistance. Some things they mentioned here are using new financing mechanisms to build and preserve more housing where they see financing gaps, and expanding federal financing by making certain loans more widely available for multifamily developments. Now, they also have steps to ensure government-owned housing goes to owners who will live in the dwellings or nonprofits who will rehab rehab the buildings rather than big, large investment firms that may neglect the properties. So basically, they're trying to take housing back from greedy real estate investors. Now, aside from all that, they're also going to be working with the private sector to make it easier to construct new homes, and hopefully Congress could approve more funding for the housing stimulus checks. Now, the administration announced it would send millions of dollars to states to help offset home energy costs in another attempt to ease the burden on homeowners. Now, this is the LIHEAP, or the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. So we could possibly see another stimulus check from that, even if we've gotten some already. Yep, definitely something to look forward to in my future updates, guys. But for now, I hope that we hit your stimulus sweet spot with today's stimulus check update, daily news report, the worst housing market crash in recent market history, market predictions for the next 5 years, what you need to do, and last but not least, housing stimulus checks for everybody. Make sure you guys are always subscribed to the channel, and make sure you have your notification bell turned on. As always, appreciate you guys watching. A big thanks for always dropping a like for the videos. Totally appreciate that. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Y'all be safe.